My name is Richard. This is We Are Definitely Wizards. This is a magical podcast full of wonder and spells and stuff. And joining me tonight for this Repeat Offenders edition is another fantastic gentleman who is involved in the world of magic. He is Mr. Bryan Dumbledore Wade. So how are you, Mr. Wade?
I am excellent. I would actually prefer it if you didn't use my secret name, because that's how people get power over me.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I can do that.
As a fellow wizard, you should understand this.
I absolutely do understand this. So let us first of all explain that for this evening we have decided to do something slightly different. And the reason for that is because some time ago we had Mr. Bryan Wade on before, and what we did is... I can't do this. This is rubbish. I
was really enjoying it.
And we had Mr. Bryan Wade saying the following. It's fantastic. And the most important thing is remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards.
I'm a wizard, Richard. I'm a wizard of the coast.
Man, I'm hilarious.
Bryan spoke about this before we came on. So that is what happened before. Mr. Bryan Wade was on the show before, and he confessed to me that he was actually a wizard, which was deeply offensive at the time, but I have now seen the light. And then, a couple of weeks ago, there was this incident here where, unfortunately for me, that I besmirched one of the members of the Staying In podcast, and I basically forgot to say his name, and I did apologize on the show like this. What game?
It's sitting upstairs. It's directly there.
Really? Do you know what I remembered? Do you know what I'm absolutely ashamed at is the fact that when I was talking about the Staying In guys, that I spoke about Peter, and I spoke about Sam, and I spoke about Chris, and I think I left Dan off. So sorry, Dan. So as you can tell there, I did leave Dan off, and it caused a conniption so much that our good friend of the show, Mr. Nick Jones, decided that, in order for me to pay penance, that I should spend the next episode doing a silly voice and pretending, and actually not pretending, and actually admitting that yes, I am a wizard that is embracing the magical plane. So here I am, and Mr. Dan Frost joined in and said it was the only way that was going to dry his tears. So,
well, I'm glad that you finally admitted to that your true self is a wizard.
I am here. I'm actually standing here. I'm going to put. I don't have any photographs on me because that is the world. That is the way of the evil ones. So I'm not going to take a photograph because they will obviously take away my soul. So I'm not going to do that. But you can rest assured that I am wearing a full cloak, that my staff definitely has a knob on the end, and that I have a lovely, lovely kind of velour type hat which has stars and sequins and other such things on it. But for those who haven't joined us before, now this is our special episode that we are definitely wizards, and the reason that we do this is because there's quite simply not enough podcasts involving wizards, and secondly, there's simply not enough podcasts where we have two good gentlemen of spell casting worthiness talking about wizarding life. Is that not right, Mr. Wade?
That is very correct.
I definitely can't keep this voice going.
That's 100% correct.
I'm going to try, though. I'm going to continue. I'm going to have a little drink because I've got some magical milk. It's pink milk because all wizards drink pink milk, as we know. But how the devil are you, Mr. Wade? I shall shut up.
I am excellent.
Good. And you have been recording a podcast of late, have you not? Do you want to tell us a little bit about this podcast before I dive in and just jump out the window to escape?
Yeah, sure. I recorded the podcast. I host the podcast Expanded Universe, which is about the Star Wars Legends Expanded Universe, books, comics, games, movies, so on and so forth. So basically what it is it's a book club podcast where once per month, I and a special guest choose a book, and we read the book, and then we talk about it on a podcast. And As it turns out, you, Richard, were on a episode of that podcast.
It was my non-magic alter ego.
That's true.
I, of course, would not appear on the podcast because
it was non-wizard Richard.
That I would definitely not like to be on a podcast that was all non-wizardy.
We're about space wizards over there.
Well, that is
over
fine. I've
heard
the Force is a mystical force that binds us and then guides us and others. So I'm close to Alec Guinness, you know. You'll find you're wrong about many things, Mr. Skywalker. I really gonna have to stop this because I'm just gonna go mad by the end of it. I'm not actually joking.
I mean, it was some impressive dedication. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we got like kind of 7 minutes in, and then I completely joked it. And do you know what? I did put the call out to kind of like put questions in, and of course, flipping Nick Jones kind of jumped up. But so we're gonna dive into those. I think we've already probably angered a couple of people already, no doubt, when they listen to this episode. But we shall see.
I've actually, I've got some hot news that Nikki is already offended by this episode.
Good old Lost Panda. May the Forcey magic be with you, Emperor Friend Patine. She's a good friend of the show.
It's true.
But we're messing up the total kind of format as the show. I knew if I put in this bloody stupid voice in it, that would happen. And you can change accents all you like because it's my show, so you can just, if you don't like it, you can turn off now. We've probably lost about 50 subscribers already, which will put us...
I assume that they just saw that you brought a wizard back on and they were just all like unsubscribed.
So that we'll just get rid of it. So that leaves us a -10. So I don't know how that's gonna work. If I'm gonna have
even your parents unsubscribed.
I'm gonna have to listen to their podcasts. I think that's how it works. If you've got
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
If you've got negative listeners, as we said, first of all, people. This might be their first episode. They might be just going, "What is going on?"
This is a very bad first episode for people to listen to.
Oh dear. Right. Games. Board games, card games, other things and stuff like that. Brian's been on the show. If you haven't listened to Brian before, I'm going to stick with the voice. If you haven't listened to Brian before, I suggest you do go back and give him a listen, because he was a remarkably good man and gave us a lot of information about the wonderful game of Magic the Gathering, which is a fantastically amazing... No, I can't do it. But we did speak about Magic last time, and we spoke about Sheriff of Nottingham as well. This is just off the top of my head and not referring to the show notes, but that was then and this is now. So what you been playing? You've been playing anything in particular?
I'm actually going to call you out real quick.
Okay.
It is now April 19th. It has been a little over 6 months since my episode of We're Not Wizards, my initial episode.
Wow.
Richard, have you played Magic the Gathering yet?
Yes.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I played it. I actually played 5 games in total in the last 6 months. I think it was maybe 5. I won them all.
Oh, congratulations.
I was using the what deck was it? The Calamite? No, something like that.
Calamite is a dragon from Dark Souls.
That's what I thought it was. I was like, shit. It's the
you were using your Chandra Planeswalker deck?
Yeah, I was.
I assume?
Yeah, I was. I kicked ass.
Okay.
I had my little vehicle card, and I had my my Planeswalker card, and then I had a good combination of a couple of haste cards that were able to go in, and then a couple of guys that were able to drive some of the vehicles, and it was quite easy to wreck shop. I did play it once. I played against Stu, good old Stu, and I did beat him. I think it was actually just 3 times in a row, and that was enough. That was enough magic for me, Brian.
I don't understand. What do you mean by enough magic?
That's enough magic. I mean, I've done it.
I don't think that's actually like a thing.
I don't need any more magic. Go and ask me how many more booster packs I've bought.
Richard, how many more booster packs have you bought?
1.
And how many times have you used those cards to torture me on Twitter?
I've probably used them more times to torture you on Twitter than I've actually used them playing the game of Magic, because in case, well, yeah, there's an entire thread on Twitter out there which is pretty much me abusing Magic the Gathering cards in various forms. Everything,
just trying to get a rise out of me. That's all you're doing.
Everything from going to the trouble of making up a fake black Lotus card and sleeving it, and then doing various things to it, to using my Planeswalker card to do things like eat custard with, and sit on top of a burning stove, and
yeah. You cooked it one time. I remember that.
I did. I think I run it under the tap.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely fantastic. These are all the things, and this is my continual thing that I definitely don't like Magic. And Magic,
despite being a wizard now.
Magic, I have to admit, yeah, I am a wizard, but I can still be a wizard and not like Magic the Gathering.
I don't think that's true.
I beg to differ. It's a good game, but it's a game I can quite happily play maybe 3 or maybe another time in my life, and then just kind of walk away from it. I've still got my main deck, I've still got my booster pack, and I think that's about it. And I think that's about as far as I'm going. So yes, for the record, I have played Magic. Do I see why it's good? No. I'm sorry,
Richard, listen, it's amazing. Is what it is.
It's Demon Souls all over again.
Yeah, let's not talk about that on this podcast, because you don't want me to get mad.
I don't want you to get mad. Demon Souls is a video game that I take in equal hand to either call Magic the Gathering rubbish or call Demon Souls not that great. And it depends what day it is and what month it is, but both of them are really, really good fun to talk about on various bits of social media and watch people's hackles rise.
You are very good at that.
It's so easy to do, it's just ridiculous. Okay, so you've had your question answered. Are you going to go back and answer my question?
I can answer your question. Actually,
yeah.
Can we talk about, I did this past weekend, the weekend of Easter weekend, actually. Wizards of the Coast did this thing called Magic Open House. Listen, it's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
I think you'll appreciate it.
Right. Okay.
And so what it was is at all of the local game stores, you could come in as a new player and get some free Magic cards and learn how to play Magic, from the from the the employees of the store or whatever, or whoever they had to do it. And I ran the Magic Open House at the store where I play Magic most often, which is called Summit Sports Comics and Games.
All right, give them a shout out. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and it was very fun. We had a couple people come in. But specifically, we had this group of 3 little girls and their dad come in, and wanted to learn how to play. The little girls all wanted to learn how to play Magic, and that was super fun. Because they were all pretty into it, and they were all of the right age where they understood what was going on, but it wasn't too much for them,
Yeah, and they weren't going into the whole meta game or try to look for for stuff. Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah. So we had some really good fun, and it was just it was really fun to to play with the kind of cards that I played with when I was a new player, and play with new players in that way.
I mean, in that situation, do you let them win?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely make a little bit you make some slightly suboptimal plays.
Yeah. I think you have to. I'm pretty sure Stuart did that with me, because I won ridiculously easy. I mean, I'm not going to play that. Oh, you can tap that card and get that, that mana there. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. You just play ahead. Yeah, I'm going to do any more moves. It's like, are you sure, Stuart?
Yeah.
But was it an all day thing then?
It was just a couple hours, but yeah, it was very fun.
Is that have you kind of done the demo stuff before then?
I haven't. I've taught plenty of people to play Magic, but this was the first time I'd ever done it, like in like a quote unquote official capacity.
Oh, cool. Okay. So do you get like what'd you get for that? Does that? I mean, I know it sounds weird, but there's End the Turn podcast, and End the Turn. One of the hosts on there is an official kind of Magic the Gathering judge. So they go on kind of like conferences and they go on courses, and it sounds like proper serious business, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So is there that part of thing to the hobby as well? Because I mean, it must have if it's got like conferences and competitions and stuff like that going for it.
Yeah, I actually I'm sort of in the process of becoming a judge right now as well.
Are you?
I've got to talk to my level 2 guy some more and get him get to where I would be trained more. But yeah, I'm kind of like it's at the very beginning of the process. Like we haven't actually really started much of it yet. But like I've taken the judge like the practice tests and stuff online, and I just crush them because I've been playing this game for almost 20 years and I know the rules.
Do you get? I'm not gonna. I'm not going to put you on blast on this because this is actually fascinating to me because that's one of the things that we haven't discussed at all on the show is that kind of next level where you're playing a game for fun and then you're playing a game to be competitive and then you are the guy that's behind the competitive type of stuff, just making sure that that everything is kind of working. So is it an intense process? I mean, is there a lot of kind of tests you have to do?
For a level 1 judge, it's mostly just like you just have to demonstrate rules proficiency, and then you train under a level 2 judge to like become a level 1, and the level 2 judge basically just like you run events like with the level 2 judge there to back you up, and so as long as like everything goes smoothly, that's kind of all you need to do.
So in a Star Wars reference, is it like a kind of a Padawan Jedi Knight? Jedi Master.
Yeah, level 3s are Jedi Masters.
Yeah.
Level 3s are, I mean, you really have to understand the rules of Magic. We could go into we could get into the weeds with some Magic rules.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Why not?
Because I do not want to bore the pants off of every single one of your listeners.
Oh, come on. I mean, they're probably a lot of them are probably sitting there going, do you know what? At last, we get somebody actually talking some sense. I've been waiting for Brian to come back after he confessed on air that he was a wizard to come on and lay down some kind of Magic rules. This is what the guys have been waiting. I take it there is kind of like, do you end up having to become a little bit kind of rules lawyery then when you're learning?
When you're a judge, yes. Like I mean, as a judge, like it is your job to be rules lawyery, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I try not to be too much of a rules lawyer. I just make sure, like, as a player, I just make sure that, like, everybody understands what the rules are and, like, what they're doing. But, like, I mean, you could definitely, like, there's a difference between, like, being, like, specific about the rules and being, like, a rules lawyer. And so, for example, there are these, like, tournament shortcuts where, like, if you say, like, okay, move to combat, there's a step at the beginning of there's the beginning of combat step before you actually declare your attackers.
Yeah.
And moving to combat, when you use that as a tournament shortcut, that means you're moving to declare attackers, which means that you've passed priority back and forth through the main phase and through beginning of combat. So a lot of times, if in a tournament situation, if you say move to combat, your opponent can then say, okay, well, you missed your trigger or whatever, but like at the level of Magic that most people play, like, you just let them have that trigger. Like, you don't rules lawyer them out of that.
Yeah.
Because there are certain things, like, there are cards that have abilities that trigger at the beginning of combat. And that means at the beginning of combat step, it triggers, right?
Right, okay, yeah.
But if you say move to combat and you don't declare your trigger, then at like a high level, you could say, oh, well, you missed your trigger. But at the level that most players play at, which is like Friday Night Magic, which is regular rules enforcement level, like, you would just let them have that trigger. Okay. Because regular REL is like meant for people to learn Magic, like to become better players, right?
Do you then have the kind of the Fight Club type thing? You know what I mean, where there's the regular kind of bar life, and then what happens is you stumble in, walk in like Brad Pitt afterwards. You know what I mean? And you're like, night's over, folks. and everybody leaves, and then you start, and then everybody that's
And then
there
the
is
real
kind of
magic
like,
starts.
yeah, exactly. They're like level. These are the level 1s and the 2s.
That actually does kind of happen. Like there's definitely like
I can
there's-
just imagine.
there's like definitely like a group of us that are like that of the regulars that play at Summit that like have like we've then formed our own subgroup of people that
that's
like
so
are
awesome.
like more interested in being like like getting better at the game.
Do you
and
like
not just
switch?
there to have fun all the
Switch
time.
do you get? Is there a guy with really really big sideburns that kind of like switches the lights off and goes, "Show's over, folks," and everybody leaves, and then you're just standing there.
yeah,
You're
that's
standing
exactly
there,
what
and you're
happens.
like you're standing there in your red leather jacket and your shades on,
Yeah,
just for your-
that's almost exactly what happens.
just with your deck in your top pocket. And then, are people allowed to know about this club?
I mean, yeah, I don't care. I mean, if people are interested in getting better at Magic, like they are more than welcome to.
Cool. So it's not
So
like
the,
Fight
the,
Club.
the first
then.
rule of Magic Club is not don't talk
You
about
can
Magic
talk
Club.
about magic as much as you want. Here we go. Right, what is this?
Oh yes, I've sent you a link. Like I said, we're not going to get in the weeds, but I'm just gonna let you look over this link,
I will look
which
over,
is
I will look
how
over this
effects
later
are
on.
applied in layers in Magic. So if you just want to,
Oh my
if you just want
goodness.
to put that in the show notes,
It's actually called cranial insertion, and that's enough to make me click off this, Brian. I'm clicking up. I'm clicking up. The link's going in the fridge, just like that episode of Friends. So okay, so how long does it take? It's like I sound like I'm being sarcastic and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
how long does it take for you to move up the levels? I mean, do you looking at this and you looking, okay, I've got to do, do you have to do 4 tournaments before you move up a level? Do you have to do 8? Do you have to do 12? Do you have to do, do you have to get your card marked by somebody else kind of thing? I mean, how does it work?
At least for level 1, and I'm pretty sure level 2 as well. Like it's more or less just like when the people that you're training with decide that you're ready.
Yeah, okay.
And like specifically like for level 1's like pretty easy to get. So that's more or less just like, hey, you ran a tournament and it went okay, and you know the rules and you passed those judge tests. Congratulations, you're a judge.
Cool. And then does it move up in, like, say, Taekwondo then? You get different levels and badges and stuff like that?
Yeah, you become like a brown belt, and then you become a yellow belt judge, and then you become
Really? You
a
do actually
orange
get...
belt. No.
You get you get belted and striped.
No, you get hilarious polos.
Do you?
I mean, they're not hilarious. They're fine. They look pretty classy.
You're really saying that because you're like, I actually want one of those polos.
Actually, I kind of want one.
You stood
no,
in
like-
front of the mirror with a plain polo on going, one day, Brian, one day.
Yeah. So like at the bigger events, like I think the last time I was on this episode, I talked about when I went to the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
At that level of event, like all of the judges at those events have like wear like the same shirt, and so they all wear like either it's either like a black polo or a black like button down that says Magic Judge on the breast.
Wow.
And then the head judge wears a red polo that says Magic Judge. It says Magic Head Judge on his polo.
What
on his
color?
shirt.
What color's the thread? Is it white thread or is it kind of like gold?
For the shirt?
embroider, do they embroider the word Magic Judge?
Oh yeah,
out?
yeah. Well, it's magic like the logo,
Wow.
right? So it's like the orange logo, and then Judge in just like probably just like white or black.
This is actually fascinating. No, this is fascinating. I didn't realize we were going to go down. I did not realize we were going to go down this particular rabbit hole, Mr. Potter. This is good. Okay, so how long is it going to take? How long are you talking about? Is this the 2020 Bryan Wade goal, or is this?
This is more or less like a 2017 goal. Like I would like to get it done within this year, which I think I can
do the whole thing. Surely, if you do it,
just to level 1, like not I'm not
right.
trying to get like to level 3 or anything.
how long will it take you to get to level 3?
I probably won't even try. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's both like a lot of work and like to keep yourself like at certain levels, like you have to judge a certain number of events, and like I'm still more interested in playing than judging.
I think, is it not like one of those things where you can become the designer? You can be a designer all your life and really get involved in the design, or you can become the head of the design department, which means all you do is you're pushing around the figures, so it's no longer
right.
it's no longer kind of like as much fun as it is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just so obviously, because last time on the last episode we messed up kind of name. Well, I messed up names. You weren't there, so you didn't mess up anything.
That's true.
The person who is on End the Turn, which is a podcast you should be having a listen to, because it's good, is Liz. Liz is she's a judge for Magic, so she talks about going across to the good old US of A to talk about that. So that's a secret, silent, quick-sided plug, but there you go. Wow, you've kind of like broadsided me, because I was just gonna spend like the next kind of I guess 45 minutes just thinking up ways to bring magic into the conversation. I didn't realize I was going to drop the voice, but
you had to know that I would just bring magic in by myself.
I knew you were going to bring magic in it. You're just going to, if I walked away and I went, right, Brian, I'm away. Brian, I'll be back.
I would just.
I'll be back in
so anyway,
minutes.
this is my Magic the Gathering hour. I'm just going to read the layers to you.
And if you're all good, boys and girls, then we'll not just bother with a couple of layers, we'll read the whole way down the list. Aren't you so lucky? You've been playing anything else apart from just doing Judge Club? First rule of Judge Club?
I learned how to play Star Wars Destiny. I played exactly one game of that.
Did you?
And it is great, and I'm sure you understand. I actually don't know if it's quite as bad over there as it is here. Like, those cards are impossible to find here.
I know, it's just. Are you talking about the blister packs?
The starter decks.
Yeah.
So I have one of each pre-ordered from my local game annex.
Yeah.
But we're still waiting on those to come in. So.
Well, as
still don't have any cards of myself.
As in the Kylo Ren and the Rey ones.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get them.
They did a reprint of them.
Oh, did they? All right. Okay, so you're
Yes.
just waiting to get them back in. Oh my goodness. Yep. I got them at Christmas time. So I'm just having a look. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that they've sold. I mean, is this? But then again, this is another thing about. Is it because they purposefully didn't print enough to kind of create this kind of like demand for them?
Right. Yeah, is this a tiny Nintendo Classic issue? I don't know if you want to get into that on this podcast. I'm pretty salty about some things.
Do you have one?
I do not.
Did you pre-order one from anywhere that you didn't end up getting?
I didn't, because I figured that it would be easy to just walk in and buy one off of a shelf. Oh. And evidently not the case.
Evidently. Not now. Yeah, you could quick aside. I mean, it's kind of like, it's your night to come back in. So the mini. I mean, we
don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it. I'm just mad that I can't get one. And like the thing is I own all of those games, so it's not like I need it for the games. I just thought it'd be cool to have a little Nintendo on my shelf.
Both my brothers have got one.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got it sitting on their shelf, and it's dinky and it's tiny. And I looked. Do you know what? I looked at it and I thought about it, and then I went, "Nah, I'm not going to bother." I kind of lived with that decision, and I'm still happy to live with that decision. It's not my bag. I never had the original Nintendo. If the Super Nintendo comes out, then I reckon I will probably consider it. But then again, it might just be something that I will probably potentially just let me pass by.
Yeah. Well, there is a rumor going around Twitter today that Nintendo is starting production of the Super Nintendo Classic.
I'm going to order. So. But then, what do you know? What will happen is, I don't know if last time, I think I remember going on the Nintendo site, and they were really strict in restricting it to one order per person.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't allowed to get any more than that, so they must have known at the time they were going to be quite tight in the production numbers. Super Nintendo, though, that's a different bag altogether for me, man. I mean, that is pretty much my 92 to kind of 96 of games. That is when I just, that is what I played My Super Nintendo kind of was used so much it went that kind of yellowy color that it does. If
I think a lot of people's did.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's a nice bit of nostalgia. So we shall see. Who did you play Destiny with? Was it somebody else's deck?
Yes, I played with. I talked about this on the last time I was on, but Dawn from the Game Annex.
Yeah,
I played with one of her decks.
All right,
she has a couple. And so we played against each other, and I beat her, and I'm pretty sure she let me beat her. But that's okay.
Because it's your first game, because you got to do that. He's just polite. I play against my son a lot, and Andy, who is a regular at Dwarf at the club, and is an all-round amazing person, basically. He went out, and he usually, if he commits to a game, he goes out and commits. He is one of the guys that goes out and buys the blister pack kind of tower things. And he basically gave me and my son a kind of like a big pile of Destiny kind of spare cards and dice that he had. So we've got a substantial kind of deck between the two of us. But it's a shame you can't get it. It's good fun. It's very, very simple.
I really like it, and I'm really mad that I can't get my hands on it.
Oh, man.
I mean, I could buy a bunch of booster packs and just build something out of those, but like, I don't know, like I kind of would just I like the idea of just having the starter decks to like just have as like hey, let's play some Destiny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they're already pre-built and everything.
Is it just a stock thing then? You just not get stock in the United States?
Yeah, that seems to be the issue. Is that it is just like it would come in, like a shipment would come in and they would just sell out just immediately.
Really?
Yeah.
That's bad.
So when they announced earlier this year that they were going to do one last printing of the base set, I can't remember what it's called. Awakenings.
You get
the base set.
Yeah, you get the Awakenings. One's with Kylo Ren and one's with Rey. Yeah, I mean you get them. Okay. Well, we shall have to see what the wizard side of me can maybe drag up for you, young man.
So hopefully if I finish the trilogy and come back on here at some point, I will have actually
you have to come
owned
back on.
some Destiny and been able to actually put some real time into it.
It is magic, you know what I mean? It is very, very simple, but I like the way they kind of separate the kind of the resource cards. I think they've done that just pretty much so you're not tapping.
Yeah.
So they've said, okay, you can get resource and stuff and roll your dice, and it's just a very, very elegant system and the back and forward between the two sides can just swing back and forward like nobody's business. I don't think you can go into a game. You can probably go into a game having an OP deck, but I think it can be difficult to do that. Because I think they're quite stingy with the points that you can play in a round. So
yeah, and the dice rolls also give you an extra element of like, even if your opponent's deck is way better than yours, like, if you get good dice rolls and they get bad ones, like you can still beat them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I play it. Me and my middle boy, James. We play we try and play on a regular basis because it is something that's a 2-minute setup. It is kind of magic-y in that case. I guess the only pain with it is you can't stick a kind of a deck in a back pocket. Not that you would stick a deck in a back pocket, Brian. I stick a deck of magic cards in the back pocket, and then what I do is I go and slide down a grassy hill on my ass.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's exactly what I do. And then what I do is, to get the grass stains out, I then take my jeans off, and then I stick them in the washing machine. And you know how they used to do the stonewash jeans thing? I don't bother with that. I just leave the sleeved cards in the washing machine at the same time, and they manage to get rid of all the grass stains.
Perfect.
Are you grabbing the desk yet in anger?
I am a little bit. I'm bracing myself.
No, we talked about Destiny a couple of shows a little while ago, but it's definitely kind of worthwhile playing. Is there anything else you've been playing apart from Destiny?
That's kind of been it. It's been a lot of Magic lately. I had a buddy come in from out of town a couple weeks ago, and he is like my best Magic buddy. And so while he was in town, we basically just played Magic every single day.
How many? I mean, does he have his own Does he have a deck, like a couple of binders of decks that he brings with him?
Yes, he brought a bunch of stuff with him. He and I actually, like, when he lived in town, our collection was combined.
Right.
When I took a break from Magic for a while, like, he was still playing, so I was like, oh, you can just take all these cards. So he still has all of them, but like he'll just like give me stuff if I need it. This is all just like commons and uncommons, right? Like, this isn't the rares. Like, you get the rares separate.
That's a different game altogether, isn't it? Because I thought I could imagine.
It really is.
No, you can use this. You can use this way. Yeah, no, just take it. Just take it. I can't imagine that.
That's more or less how it works with us. Is like, as long as it's like a common or uncommon, like, we don't care. Like, you can just have it, whatever. But yeah, so like while he was in town, like, he brought like a bunch of his stuff with him, and we literally, like, every single day when I got off of work, he would show up at my place and we would play Magic for like 5 hours.
You can't diss another man's hobbies. How many cards has he got? Has he got more than yours?
I'd say they're about equal, probably.
That's pretty cool. So, we did say that we were going to take some questions. We are going to come back, and we are going to potentially talk about Kickstarter, because there is some news regarding Kickstarter that we have to
we do
mention.
have one Kickstarter thing to talk about at the very least.
Yes, we do. But the other thing that we can jump into and talk about is the questions, because I went out, and I'm just going to bring up the magical Twitter, and I said we're recording a special Wizards Only episode. I did the voice. I think I did the voice for a long enough time. Yeah,
you did the voice. It was very good.
I have said on the tape, I am a wizard. Thank you very much. Obviously, as we said, Nikki already said she was offended by the episode. Nick Jones, good old Nick, who's probably never going to get invited back on the show now.
Nick sent us like 5 questions.
He always does his first quote. He says, "Yes, about time," because he was ragging on at me to like come on the show and go, I swear by the gods of wizardry and spelly stuff that I am a wizard, even though we're not wizards. And as I say, Dan said, well, this will help me dry my tears. I mean, what is that all about? But anyway, so I did. So, there you go. You get an entire episode about wizardry just for yourself. He's also put yes, as he always does. Yeah, okay. How have you been coping with living a lie? And he's put
hashtag a wizard all along.
Nick.
So Richard, how have you been coping with living a lie?
I think it's one of these things that I have been maybe dropping subtle hints across several episodes that I maybe had some slight wizard tendencies. But I must admit that the first time that I did hold a staff and try on the hat, it was probably the only first real time in my life I'd felt completely happy. And then obviously there is nothing more fun than running around a town centre throwing glitter at random people and then having to run away from them.
Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt.
Expelliarmus. Crucio, or whatever it's called. You know what I mean? A banana cadavras, or just whatever the rest of that nonsense
That's
is.
definitely the name of that spell.
That definitely has to be the name of that spell. You imagine if you confused it. What happened to your parents, Harry? Voldemort turned them
into bananas.
Turned them into bananas, man. He says, what happened? He says, and then Neville Longbottom's parents came along and they got the bananas and they mushed them up and they fed them to Neville Longbottom, who was a baby at the time, and that's why he could potentially be the chosen one as well. So there you go. So, Nick, the answer to your question is yours. Who's a better wizard, Dumbledore or Gandalf? Are they not? But they're played by the same person, so what does it matter?
Somebody's gonna be very mad at you about that.
You could just say that. And you know what? I know exactly who's going to be very mad at me for saying that. And
Is it Nick Jones?
No, it's probably going to be somebody else, but they're going to be very, very mad. I like the way that Sir Ian McKellen kind of played both Dumbledore and Gandalf, and he was able to bring across the different ways. You know, he was obviously able to do the Gandalf. You've got a Gandalf impression, haven't you?
I have no Gandalf impression.
Oh, come on!
But I do. I'm really bad at impressions.
Try
Richard. But I do have actually. I have a post from the D&D subreddit.
Okay.
The title of this post is "Gandalf was really just a fighter with 18 intelligence."
Really?
And the post kind of makes some sense. So I'm going to go ahead and link you to it.
Yes.
I've known about this post for a while, but since we're talking about who's the better wizard, I think that you could argue that it's Dumbledore because Gandalf is a fighter, not a wizard.
Do you think so? Let's just see. I'm just going to bring this up and let's just have a look and see what Brian.
Yeah, what
let's see what Brian is saying.
Read some of this.
Let's have a look, and we can maybe. Okay, here we go. Oh, my goodness, this is massive.
That's why I didn't read it.
Oh my. Okay. Well, you have to read it in your best Sir Ian McKellen voice. Gandalf lied. He was no wizard. He was clearly a high-level fighter that put points into the use magic device skill, allowing him to wield a staff of wizardry. All his magic spells he cast were low-level, easily explained by his ring of spell storing in his staff. For such an epic-level wizard, he spent more time fighting than he did casting spells. He presented himself as this angelic demigod, when all he was a fighter with carefully crafted PR. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny post. If you really want to get deep into it, listen, he was a wizard, but it is very funny.
And whereas Dumbledore was just a headmaster that knew some kind of special little tricks.
Exactly.
And then and when it came to the crunch, Dumbledore died.
That's true.
And also,
when Gandalf died, he came back.
Exactly. So in that case, I think, based on the fact of pure resurrection alone, that we have to give an extra 10 points to Gandalf, because he not only came back more powerful, but he came back considerably cleaner as well. In a whiter shade of white.
That's true.
He'd almost kind of gone out and bought himself extra magic super washing powder. It wasn't the fact that when Sauron was defeated that Gandalf was able to lead a kind of more quiet life. He also did a series of promotional tours and signed himself up to a soap powder company, which afforded him a life of luxury that he could have otherwise not have afforded at all, which is always quite good. So Nick, yeah, the answer to your question is it's definitely Gandalf, due to the fact that he is, he's the guy that you would need to remove the grass stains out of my jeans when I slid down that hill with the magic cards in my back pocket.
Exactly.
Okay. What's your stance on hats and cloaks?
Very positive. Very positive.
I think hats are a good thing.
Yeah, you're wearing a hat and a cloak right now, so
I am. I've obviously had to put my my staff in the corner, because otherwise
I'm wearing my terry cloth home wizard's bathrobe.
I really don't want. I'm wearing a silken one myself that goes all the way down to the floor. I'm actually wearing slippers that have got the kind of the big pointy bits that stick up. The slippers themselves are about
like clown shoes or jester shoes,
curly up pointy clown shoes. And there's a bell on one of them. I don't know where the other bell went. It's probably been stolen by a cat that I don't have, which is always good. I think it becomes important, just not in the winter time when it is cold, but generally in the summertime as we experienced. What could be said as unpredictable weather, that to have a good hat available to you as well as a cloak. Hat can obviously protect you in the longest and the worst of the sunshine, where a good cloak can kind of keep you nice and warm if you were maybe, say, in Munich today, which experienced a massive amount of snow.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and it's April. I just can't believe it. Nick's next thing is, are you sorry you asked for questions? I never saw you ask for questions.
No, they were very good questions, and I appreciate them greatly.
Exactly. We're very, very happy that Nick took the time and the trouble, and obviously his lunch break, it appears, to write down all those questions. I don't know. Somebody has to kick him into touch. But speaking of kicking into touch, maybe not kicking somebody into touch, but giving somebody a bit of a kick start.
Yes.
There is a segue. For those who have been following our little show, you will be aware that now and again, whenever we have a wonderful guest on the show, like, say, Jeremy Greer or Paddy Smith, or alternatively, we have Brian back on again.
Thanks, Richard.
You're welcome. The Dark Souls board game is one of these things that surfaces because everybody likes a little bit of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And it's on its way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out, next week?
It's next week.
Yeah.
Are you excited by the prospect of getting your hands on it? Or are you slightly nervous?
I'm definitely a little nervous because, like, I'm going to want to get those figurines painted, but, like, that's a lot of work.
Have you painted a lot of miniatures?
No, I haven't, which is part of my issue.
There's probably professional painting services you can get your hands on, I reckon, which shouldn't be such a bad thing, but...
Yeah. What I'll probably end up doing is going to the Game Annex and being like, hey, who wants to help me paint these figures, and I'll let you play Dark Souls with me for payments.
And they'll all be, and let's face it, because it did about 1.4 million squillion pounds,
they'll all have their own copies.
Exactly.
They're like, we all brought our copies for the same
exactly
issue.
They'll all just be staring at you and you go to the back of the queue, and there'll be like a big long queue. I'm not worried about the figures because the sculpts look amazing. It just depends on the size of them, if they're going for a decent size on the figures. Because I think a lot of people have got this idea of having like a huge display case full of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing the size that miniatures usually are, they're going to end up taking up one small shelf. And then there's going to be people, I think people are expecting like 12-inch, 15-inch high kind of figurines that they can put on.
It definitely seems like people were expecting their character figures to be like amiibos, and that's sorry guys, that's not going to be the case.
No, no guys, you're going to be asking for like the Millennium Falcon on Christmas, and you're going to end up you actually got an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah, you got the Outlander.
Or you got one of the obscure vehicles that never actually appeared in the films, but
Yeah, like the Outlander.
Yeah, that's it.
That's Dash Rendar's ship.
I know Dash Rend. That's from the
Dash Rendar.
Dash Rendar. It's from the don't the N64 game Shadows of the Empire.
Correct. The N64 game, and also other video games, and also book.
Is he a book
and comic? Yeah,
and a comic. Are you going to be talking about that? Are we segueing back into your podcast again? I can't believe that you've done this.
Yeah, I talked about Star Wars. It just happens naturally. I really actually what I want to do is I want to do like a big like multimedia blowout for Shadows of the Empire, because that was kind of what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
is they did video games, they did a comic, they did a book. They did this whole cross media thing, and so what my idea for whenever I get around to doing Shadows of the Empire is basically have 7 guests on and have like each of them do one of the things.
Whoa.
And then we'll just all sit around and talk about Shadows of the Empire for a while.
That would be very good. That could be very, very cool indeed.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Well, I mean, that was the only one of the only kind of Star Wars offerings at the time, so you can imagine why people kind of grabbed it with both hands, because it was like, Star Wars!
And it's also like halfway decent on top of that, so.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't know how many people are going to end up playing the rules. I don't know how many people are just going to end up kind of like sitting there and going like, Doom,
just like smashing their characters together.
It's doing like that.
Like they're 3 or 6 year old again.
Do you know what will happen? You'll have Board Game Geek, right? And there's going to be, I reckon within about 3 months, there's going to be about 6 or 7 alternative rule sets where people have said, actually, if you want to play it like this, you could play it like XYZ, because there's some people are going to be going in with kind of additional rules, which could be quite exciting.
Almost certainly.
I can't even remember what you get with the base set.
I think you get the dancer.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know. I bought the base set and I got the Darkroot Valley expansion.
Did you get the get the one with is it Sif as well? Artorias?
I don't think so. I think I just got the Darkroot one.
It'll be interesting to see what Sif looks like.
Yeah.
And what Artorias looks like, because there's going to be a lot of annoyed people expecting an amiibo and getting something that's like an inch and a half high.
Yeah.
With his kind of crooked little arm kind of bending down in his sword, and folk are going to be going, "What?"
I was expecting figurines for my collection.
It's going to be rage again. It's going to be like it's going to be Dark Souls chicken wings all over again.
God, Dark Souls chicken wings. Did you do that, by the way?
No,
because that was in the UK, wasn't it?
Do you know what I mean? I actually cheekily asked I asked Bamco if the chicken wings were gluten free. Because if you're gonna go trolling, you might as well do it.
Yeah,
in the most imaginative way possible, and kind of like, oh, of course, we'll get back to you. And I kind of just left him to it, which was quite funny.
And for someone with celiac disease, if they're not gluten free, then prepare to die is a real good tagline.
Exactly. It's like, do you know that kind of, was it the dark mark with the flaming ring?
Yeah, the dark sign.
That's pretty appropriate.
Yep.
Oh dear. Have you looked at anything else on Kickstarter recently?
I actually got something in the mail from Kickstarter somewhere recently. I got One Deck Dungeon, which I have not played at all yet, but it looks really cool. I opened it up and I flipped through it, and it's really pretty and really nicely, like really nice cards, and it's like a dungeon deck builder basically.
Because there was a couple of different ones kind of going out, because there was One Deck Dungeon. Was there not 5-minute dungeon as well? There was all these kind of...
That sounds right. I'll send you the link for One Deck Dungeon.
That would be quite cool, because we'd be interested in having a look at
this. This is just a Kickstarter link. I'm sure they probably have a way for you to buy it now.
Yeah, well, normally they'll have kind of some kind of, pick it up later. Here we go. One Deck Dungeon. This is great. Everybody's going to be going, right, you're actually now typing to check into something. Well, I'm listening. It's like, I'm going to work, man. I'm meant to be getting kind of G'd up by you talking board games and stuff, and you're like going into silent mode. Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
awesome.
it's really nice and cool looking. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and actually play it yet.
This looks like kind of really, really good. Do you think, here we go, talking of Kickstarter, do you think that with the success of Steamforged, that they're going to do a kind of a Dark Souls 2 board game? And what I mean by that is, you think they're going to release another version of it?
I don't know if they would release a new version of it, and they might just do like I'm sure you've seen that Gloomhaven.
Yes.
Is running a Kickstarter for their reprint.
Yes.
I would more expect to see something like that.
Did you consider Gloomhaven at all?
I'm looking at it right now. The reason I thought of it is because I sent you that link. I was on Kickstarter and I clicked on it and I was like,
all right. So is it like
Gloomhaven's on Kickstarter?
We're kind of like, I'm that kind of exciting that you're kind of like, I'm just browsing at the same time.
Yeah.
I've been on here almost an hour. When can you let me go?
No. No, I
Yeah,
just
it's just it's just so
it just popped up and I was like, oh right, like I could hack
just
hack
got a
that.
reminder. I can multitask. I can talk to you and be entertaining, and I can check my crowdfunding at the same time. I'll have you know. Obviously we've if you looked at Gloomhaven, you can also look at City of Kings. I have to kind of mention City of Kings because it's the friend of the show, Frank West, and they're kind of interesting that they're out at the same time, and both kind of, I think they're both kind of worthwhile looking at. I think
I've also been looking at City of Kings because I listened to an episode that you had with him. You had two, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we've actually.
I think I listened to the first one and maybe part of the second one. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but like him talking about that game, I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. I'm gonna go check it out. And then I looked at it and then forgot to actually do anything about it because I get distracted all the time on the internet.
No, he's doing well. He's doing up at, they've well funded. I think they're like 6 times their funding goals, so they're coming up to the end.
Then I don't feel bad about not actually kickstarting it.
No, do consider, but you know.
I mean, I did, but I don't feel bad about not having kickstarted it yet.
No,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, we've you'd be like that if you're sitting there going, I'm deciding whether or not this gets made. I wonder how many people get into that situation. Would, like, get
them over.
I know, exactly. You're kind of like looking at somebody's thing, and you're like, you're after $27, and if I give you $27, you fund, and if you don't get the $27, you become really sad. I'm wondering how many campaigns going to get that close to the wire where they're
oh my
going to
goodness,
fund.
I couldn't imagine.
No, can you imagine that?
I could imagine that, like, if a campaign gets that close, like, probably the person that's running the campaign just throws in their own money for it, right?
Exactly. They're on the phone.
Like, how could you not?
They're on the phone to their mum or something like that.
Mom, will you please give $27 to my campaign?
I bought you that really nice card for Mother's Day. You forgot my birthday. That's not the point. I love you, Mom. You just imagine that. Or either that or your mum falls out with you and says, right, I'm removing the top pledge. She goes, for that. Just for that little comment. I've already backed you, son. I've been backing you every day since the day you were born. I don't need to back your silly campaign. Okay then. But I want the top tier, and I want to have first copy before anybody else gets a hand of it. Okay, Mom, fine.
Exactly.
Just puts in some extra money. But imagine, oh my goodness, especially when you've got such these big games going about where they're like that. They launch, and then they just go, funded! And then they go, stretch goal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they've already got 52 stretch goals kind of lined up. But
yeah,
we've had this conversation before. Oh my goodness, is that ridiculous? That's an hour.
Yeah, we did it. We did a whole hour.
I don't think we've actually talked about anything.
we talked about some magic.
Some stuff. I think I have to finish off in the style that we started.
By getting back to your wizard voice?
Yeah, I think we have to. Just.
It's up to you.
I don't know. Because you're not going to even attempt to do any type of wizard voice at all. Are you typing away on something else as well?
No, I was drinking. I'm sorry.
Just having what are you drinking today, Brian?
Just some water.
Oh, okay.
That's usually what I'm drinking.
All right. I thought you'd be on something more. I don't know.
A little more alcoholic.
No, not even alcoholic. Just something a nice little kind of appley type drink with a kick.
Oh no, if it's not alcohol, it's water for me most of the time.
All right, okay. Well,
it's either beer or water, and it's mostly water.
That's what you got to keep yourself. It's important to keep yourself hydrated, especially
exactly.
after had your little bit of alcohol. Do you drink and magic then?
Okay, so I actually just had. This is interesting. We can talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
A local bar is running a magic tournament soon.
My goodness.
Which is it's really unusual because specifically like this bar is like it's the hipster bar in town.
Oh my goodness!
And it's I go there all the time because they have like shows, like they have music, they have bands and stuff all the time. And so I'm there quite often, but like I had no idea that anybody there had any interest in Magic. And then all of a sudden, like they posted on Facebook last night that they were doing a Magic tournament. I was like, what is happening?
Does that make you want to move away? I mean, is there a point where Magic becomes too mainstream that everybody gets involved?
No,
and
absolutely
just
not.
Like, yeah, you know, I mean, I've just had enough. You know, I'll see you later. Bye.
I can't do that, Richard. It's impossible for me. I need my fix.
You're gonna be there from like you wait until you pass all the way through because it becomes mainstream.
Right.
In fact,
eventually, it'll become not mainstream
You're the original
anymore.
hipster because you can sit there and go, and people will say, "Wow, how long have you been playing?" And somebody will go, "Well, I've been playing 8 months." 8 months, man! Wow, how many cards you got? Do you know what? I've got 3 main decks, and I must have bought myself about 15 booster packs. And you're just sitting there and just laughing at them, and they just look and you say, "Well, how long have you been playing, man?" 20 years, and it's like somebody goes, "He's lying." Because everybody knows Magic hasn't been around for 20 years. And then you just wait while they move on. And then I kick them
out of my store.
Yeah, you just wait till they move on, and then you come back and you're just waiting till, phew, now everybody hates Magic again. That's out the mainstream. Right. I can say it all right, good. Down.
I can start playing again.
I know. But you got to find out who's judging this tournament then. Maybe, what happens if it's not officially being judged? Can they have a tournament?
Yes, you can run a tournament. Well, first of all, it won't be Wizards sanctioned, because I'm pretty sure that Wizards does not sanction tournaments where alcohol is available.
All right, okay.
Which is why I brought that up. And so to answer your question that you asked at the very beginning, yes, but only at home.
All right, okay. So exactly. So we don't drunk Magic unless
no,
we're
not in public.
Tournament. Yeah. We don't drunk Magic in public.
I mean, like, also, like, I wouldn't want to at like that level have a lot of alcohol because, like, you gotta have your brain working good to play Magic good.
And would you not end up just going like that? You would end up just looking at them across the table and just
not knowing what I'm doing.
And
like,
I'm tapping this and I'm tapping that. And I'm tapping this, and I'm hitting you for this, and you can go home.
Yep, exactly.
And then you fall off your chair. And then you get up and go, I'm okay.
Yep.
Did I win?
I definitely won.
So are you gonna go along and play in this tournament? I mean, are you...
I'm planning on it.
Are you? Are you going to just walk in and just say, well, what's the prize?
So they said that they're like they would have cash prizes based on the number of people that would show up. So
really,
pretty interested to see how all this goes down. Because
you're just gonna clean up, aren't you?
I mean, I'll do my best.
You are gonna go in and just kick ass, aren't you? You're gonna hustle them as well. You're gonna go, oh, what's this? Look, I got one of these cards. It's got an R on it. What does that mean? Are you gonna do?
This one has an M.
Are you gonna do like a Paul Newman kind of hustle?
I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of people that show up there. Like, if they are people that play Magic, then I can't really hustle them. But
do you get kind of like rough kind of Magic players that like, maybe, between rounds they're like picking their teeth with their Magic cards and you're just looking at them kind of, they're from the wrong side of the sleeving.
Yeah. Yeah, they only single sleeve and it's gross.
Whoa. That could be multiply offensive. I don't sleeve at all, I only wizard sleeve. No, but I mean that could be cool because you could turn up and you could just rock in.
Yeah, like I guess I could show up and be like the only sober one there,
and then I
could
just
not
clean
drink
up.
and like let them all drink. And then I'll just clean up.
And then just clean up and just walk away with your like, you know what I mean? And you could just walk out and turn around and go, "This $10 is mine." Yep. Oh dear, that would be awesome. You have to do. I tell you what, you have to do this, and then you have to come back on the show.
All right, I can do that.
And you totally have to tell us what happened, because I will give you, an entire episode just to explain on a blow-by-blow account of what happened
What happened
in the pub tournament.
Yeah.
And if if maybe that dad will come back with, his kids, and he'll rock up in the pub, and he'll be
yeah,
looking
it'll just
at
be the
you.
dad by himself this time.
Exactly. He'll be like, I've been practicing. And you'll be like, yeah? What happens, would you kind of like wear your if you got your judge polo shirt,
wear my judge shirt?
Would your judge shirt underneath like a kind of a plaid shirt or something?
Yeah,
and
for
then,
sure.
And then,
like if anybody like questioned me, just like pull it to the side a little bit and reveal the breastplate.
Just like you're kind of an undercover cop in a bad 1980s film or something like that. Or no, Reservoir Dogs with Tim Roth lying on the ground.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like, "What's your name?" "It's Madden Shazeri." "He cut my ear off and he slashed my face." "Marvin, it's okay." And you're gonna go like, I just slip to the side and go, "Marvin, it's okay. I'm a magic judge."
And then that's exactly what's going to happen.
And then Mr. Blonde walks back in and he grabs your deck and he's got his drink on the side. He just rips the lid off very slowly off the top of the drink, and he just one by one just drops your magic cards in there, puts the lid back on, gives them a violent shake, and then continues to drink his drink through the straw. You have to tell us this. This is, people will be intrigued. We'll have to give we'll have to call it pub magic or something. We'll give it a
yeah, for
we'll
sure.
Give it a
I'll definitely go and come back and give you a report on it.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be so excited. But now, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to put on the voice. Thank you very much for joining us in our daily dalliance of magic and spells and wonder. And if you have listened tonight, and you have listened to Mr. Bryan Wade in his magical haze, and wondered how you can keep an eye on where he is in the planes of light, how could they find you, Brian, on the intermagical webs?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at WadeBryanR, and if you're interested in checking out my podcast, Expanded Universe, you can find that at LukeCast on Twitter. That's Luke with 8 U's. Or you can just go to expandeduniverse.online and everything is there.
And they're both top follows. Worthwhile. Go back, listen to. Don't worry about the second episode because I'm on it and it's normal. You're probably sick of hearing my voice anyway. But if you there's Lost Panda. Nikki's been on.
Jeremy Greer has been on.
Jeremy Greer's been on, and then
Autumn Greer.
And then Autumn Greer. It's the entire family, basically.
Yeah. Now I just need to get Avon Barksdale on for an episode.
Basically it'll be the whole thing going. But it's Brian's always a good, worthwhile follow on Twitter. Certainly check out the LukeCast if you haven't. Even if you skip the second episode. As I say, because it's me.
Don't actually skip the second episode because it was quite good, and the author of the book that we covered liked it.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah,
I can't believe that. I know.
And he specifically called out that he liked Richard.
I know. I can't believe that either. But I did. I put that on my CV. I actually photo captured the page, and
Smart.
I printed it out, and I put it on my CV. And I just, you never know what's going to happen. So just in case I do, I can say, "Oh yeah, you should give me the job because of this," and they'll go, "Whoa, really?"
Because John Jackson Miller liked me.
John Jackson Miller liked me once. There you go. Who's that? He did the Kenobi book. The Kenobi book? Yes. And then what I'll do is I'll present them with a copy.
Right. Exactly.
And then everything will be fine. Oh my goodness. Brian, this has been. I was going to say, Brian, this has been magical.
It has been magical, Richard. It's been delightful.
It's always good. It's always good fun. It's like one of these things. I'll come off of this and I'll say, I should have Brian on again. But then I realised the last time I didn't want you back on the show was because of what you said at the very beginning, which I played. But we've kind of got over that, and I think that again, my apologies for Mr. Dan Frost. Which is fine. I don't apologise to Nick Jones because he spent the vast majority of the time answering his questions, which I don't feel I should apologise for. If you want to keep an eye on what Wheeze is doing, then You can follow us on Twitter, which is magic at We're Definitely Wizards. We are on...
Yes, absolutely.
We're on Facebook at We're Definitely Wizards. You can find us on Instagram at We're Definitely Wizards. You can find us on hogwarts.com/We're Definitely Wizards. You can find us on lordoftherings.com. Definitely Gandalf is my bae. Just We're Not Wizards. Go there and search, and you'll find us. We're on iTunes, which doesn't have anything to do with We're Not Wizards, but if you search, I think We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast, we come up. We're on YouTube as well. If you want, you can go to our website, which is We're Not Wizards. Don't go to We're Definitely Wizards, because I don't even know if that exists. Because it might go to some... So he's going to go, oh my goodness, where's all this crazy traffic coming from?
Yeah, where are all these people coming from?
Exactly.
Luke-cast? What's
that all about? Yeah. And if you've liked what you heard tonight, and 5... Do you know what? We're probably only talking to ourselves now, because everybody kind of checked out probably about 3 quarters.
I'm pretty sure everybody stopped listening to this episode about halfway through.
Remember, if you do like what you've heard, then please like and subscribe and go to iTunes, because somehow that's magical and important in the podcast world. And remember that you can rate us, and don't give us a 10, because that will fill us with magical empowerment. But don't give us a 1, because that'll make us feel like a muggle.
Yeah, just right in the middle. Just
right in the middle.
A nice even 5.
Just a nice even 5, because we're average. We're definitely average. 2 things more to do. One of them, Brian, is to remember that throughout the solar system, throughout the various dimensions, throughout time and space,
throughout the 12 realms of Ephesius,
throughout the plains of Rakhdar himself, that we are many things. But
and the one thing that we are definitely
wizards. Are we wizards, Brian?
We are definitely wizards, Richard.
Yeah, check out our staffs.
Look at my staff. My staff is amazing.
It's got a nub on the end.
It's just like raisins.
We have to go. We're getting into potentially getting arrested now, which is not going to be good. Because let's face it, if you end up going to prison wearing a fancy hat and a sequin cloak, you're going to make a lot of friends really quickly.
Yeah, but the wrong kind of friends. wrong kind of friends.
Can you cure my wart, good sir? I shall see what I can do. Oh dear. Right, and the other thing that we have to do is we have to say goodbye. So is I'm going to get to the end of this. It is a very, very goodbye from the rather wonderful, the rather fantastic Mr. Bryan Wade.
Goodbye.
And I'm going to have to go and have a lie down. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s, keep a rabbit in your hat, doves up your sleeves, believe in the sparkly things in life, and don't turn people into frogs if you can do it, because that's rubbish. Because, frogs can get killed really easily because they're quite squishy.
That's true.
But until next time, goodbye.
#Wizard Squad.
Hashtag we're definitely wizards. Hashtag is it secret? Is it safe? Bye now.